Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, the podcast for all things Mecha. Jumpship incoming.
Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, number 11. We're almost through a year, people. And this is the Jumpship. We're introducing ourselves. I'm Rob.
I'm Brian.
I'm Pat, a.k.a. Chopper.
Yeah. I'm so confused now. Who's Pat?
We just woke up a little bit ago. He's had a long day.
Changing it up, man. Changing it up.
Changing personas.
Wild card.
So, yep, we're back. This is now May. It's almost summer. It's going to be great.
Yes.
And, this is Mobile Armor Radio. We're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff about mechs and mecha and other giant stompy robots, hopefully. And that's what happens in this show.
Stomp, stomp, stomp.
You can join us on our Discord. The link's in the show notes. You can also go to Facebook. There's if you search for Mobile Armor Radio, you can come there and discuss things. We'll have a lot of the pictures of things we're talking about in the show in the Facebook, so go there. And that's about it.
Yeah, we do all the plugs at the beginning of the show. That way they'll around to pay attention to it.
I'll do them at the end too, but
it's a good way to do it.
I thought I'd mention it at the beginning this time. So you can actually go to those things while you're listening to this show right now.
And Rob's being a wild card too. I'll have to step up my game over here.
Well, the jump ship's always so short. I wanted to add something to it.
Sure.
Well, I think that's all I can do.
Getting all fancy.
I stretched as long as I could. Let's move on. Sorry, Jumpship. I tried to save you.
It's not dying.
Oh.
It's okay, Rob.
It's talking to me.
Dropship landing.
Well, after that amazing Jumpship, we're in the Dropship. This is what we're working on. So we're working on stuff.
Yep.
Sometimes it's models. Sometimes it's games.
Sometimes it's nothing.
Most times it's nothing. But I will start with Brian. Brian, what have you been working on? Anything exciting? Please say yes.
Sure. Why not? I think I may have mentioned it last time. It's been kind of a hazy month. And, but I did finally get, that, 100 no grade, Exia, model that, yeah, so it's 1/100th scale, but it doesn't have an official, like, high grade, master grade, or anything like that. So it's just the scale.
Yeah,
so
there's
it's
some
not
weird
as
ones
detailed.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But, well, I got it for kit bashing purposes, so I'm not too heartbroken about that. You may recall last time when I was trying to get one, this is for my little fantasy mecha project. I mistakenly purchased a perfect grade, or a real grade.
I was just saying, perfect grade? Mistaken?
Perfect grade is the giant one.
Wow.
My bad.
Yeah, how did you? Whoops! I just accidentally dropped $100.
At least.
Yeah, accidentally. And so that one had turned out to be too small for the project. Like the proportions weren't quite matching up right. But this 1/100th scale really fits like perfectly scale wise. And so now my debate is going back and forth of just kind of kitting up the torso, arms, and head of the Exia while still putting it on kind of the Eldar Walker body or legs, and or just putting the head and maybe the arms onto the Eldar torso. Kind of still going back and forth on it. I've kind of got both of them separate. It's kind of funny because I can set the Exia torso on top of the legs and it will balance itself up there. The sword is great because it goes like all the way to the ground from where it is on the arm. So no matter what, when this thing enters the battlefield, it's just going to be cutting a swath through things, which is cool. And But yeah, so I gotta decide if I'm gonna do the torso. I'm probably going to disassemble it a little bit because it's got those kind of nice kind of glass see-through parts, and I'm gonna probably spray paint, prime it all in some other color so that it's uniform. Because otherwise it's got the general Exia style colors where it's got blue and white and some red on it and stuff like that. I'd want it to be one cohesive theme to it at least. But I think I could also throw a little cape on it, so I might figure out some way to do that because I thought it'd be really cool to have a little cape. So that's moving forward in a strange way.
Yeah, it sounds cool. I can't wait to see some. You got to post some work in progress pictures.
Let's see some of this stuff going on.
Well, it's kind of funny because I'll take one picture and then 2 weeks will go by where I don't make any progress on it.
Much like I do.
Yeah.
But the key is just to take a bunch of pictures as you go over months and just post them all at the same time, so it looks like you're doing a lot at once.
Ah, see, the secret is out.
Look at what I did. It took me a year, but look what I did.
Yeah, I'll try and be a little bit more proactive on that front.
Yeah, because it sounds interesting. Just the process of it all sounds interesting too, trying to figure out what goes with what and all that stuff.
Yeah. It's a fascinating little thing.
Yeah, it just brought, cool. When you're saying that, it brought, because you're doing it for Kings of War, right? Or Vanguard?
Vanguard specifically, but it could work in Kings of War as well.
So you think 1/100 for Mecha is alright for, because I think technically 28mm is 162 or something like that? It's a weird number that nothing actually is made in that size, or 72, somewhere there.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's 72.
Yeah.
The 1/100th scale fits the giant size. The giant for Vanguard is 18 inches or something like that.
It's enormous, that's for sure.
It's a biggin. It's a real biggin. So the scale for 1/100 to fit perfectly with what I was going to go for. So in the grand scheme, if I were to match up a person to where they would go in the cockpit, I think the 28mm are just a little taller.
Yeah, a little bit big still. Yeah, it has to be a little bit smaller than that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, my theme that I'd be going for is that this is kind of more like Escaflowne, where he's sitting right underneath the head, and his head is actually up inside that visor section. So.
Yeah, it's almost a powered armor. It's not giant like a Gundam.
Yeah.
I wonder what's 15mm. It's got to be pretty close to 144. You look at the 15mm ones, or the 144 Gundams, and I think you put a Flames of War guy next to it. It'd probably be pretty close.
That one's probably pretty close, because I know, with some Gundam kits, you can get, the troops. Yeah. I think the 08th team has, an anti-tank squad you can get, and stuff like that. They'll have little minis, and of course they're, the size of the thing's foot in height, so...
I did get it. My 08th kit I got came with a couple of hover tanks, and I should actually compare them to a tank in Flames of War. That they are, I think, when I think about it, they are pretty similar size. So that's kind of an interesting way to go about it.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was a real side topic there. But anything else you've been working on?
We'll talk more about that in the media section. But no, that's been the primary section I've been working on. I've got some scenery that I've been working on from Adepticon as well. It's kind of all that cyberpunk themed stuff. So still plugging away at that. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been working on. So how about you, Pat? What have you been working on?
Well, still continue to paint up my cab. I didn't get a lot of chance to work on anything the last couple of days, week and a half or so. But I did start throwing a little paint down on some of the Gigaroba guys, which I want to post on the Facebook page. I can't even think. So I'm kind of excited to paint that. Right now I just got them primed, and I'm in my head thinking of color paint schemes for these guys. I want to do them right, but I don't want to copy anything out of the book, Mm-hmm. So I've been kind of looking through old anime.
Yeah, my cat's theme is completely wrong to the book.
Well,
my cash stuff's good. I kept mine true to the faction in the style, not necessarily the color.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I always kind of have a struggle with like coming up with original paint schemes as well. So I that's why I draw a lot of inspiration from like shows and whatnot. Like a lot of my Dead Zone stuff is slowly becoming Gundam themed as far as paint schemes go.
I did make progress on my model kits since C2E2. I've since opened them.
It's a start.
and looked at the sprues. I think once I get these Giga Robots done painted, I think I'm gonna take a break from models not models, but figures in a sense, I guess. And I want to work on that Optimus Prime I got at C2E2, the dark one.
Yeah, it's cool.
The evil Optimus Prime.
Yep. I forget. I think there was multiple reasons why he was it Nemesis Prime?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if he's from another dimension, or I think there was multiple reasons from different comics and different media why he came to be.
His mirror version.
Yeah.
Does it have a goatee?
I'm going to paint one on him.
Nice.
Well, you can't see his face. It's underneath the little mouth guard that Prime has. Unless you're...
I'm going to paint it on the mouth guard.
Unless you're the evil Michael Bay, you can see his mouth.
Yeah, it's true.
You still got your what is it? The launch bay for the. You still working on that?
In a sense, I haven't printed any of the stuff. We bought the pipe. I've started gluing some of the parts together. And now I just need to figure out which file is which and print multiples of some more of the stuff. But, yeah.
That's another thing. I can't wait to see that. It's going to be so cool.
Once I get that done, it's going to be pretty awesome.
Then you got to do a mech hanger.
Well, then I got if I can find one. But I haven't really been looking. But I would love to get a Battletech mech hanger and make a diorama for that.
Yeah.
That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, so they're pretty. You see them a lot. Like a lot of games have shown the hangers from BattleTech. So you've seen a lot of artwork for hangers. But yeah, you got to find the STLs.
Yeah. So.
Or make.
But if I was a 3D sculptor, it'd be real easy.
Well, if there's any 3D sculptors in our listening audience, make some STL files of a MechBay Hanger.
That's right.
There's probably stuff out there. Unlike I know some people use like Thingiverse is a big.
Yeah, I think we looked. We couldn't find much. The detail is some of them is like the Battlestar one he found was really detailed, and to get something that detailed that's what you want. We saw a lot of ones that were like, oh, that's it's not that detailed, but
yeah, it's just like it's not worth the hour to 4 hours of printing time.
Yeah. When you can just get some cardboard and build something similar.
Exactly.
Yeah, because, once you see this the Battlestar hanger, or the launch bay, it's got a lot of little teeny pieces, and there's, like some of it, like you said, was so thin that you couldn't print it.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Like it's got like a helmet rack, so
wow!
So you can print it with the helmets off, so you can glue them on and off, or you can blue tack them so you can pull them off the rack.
Or magnetize them, as a good buddy of ours will always yell at me if I use blue tack.
This is
Jeff, friend of the show, Jeff.
It's like replacement laser cannons.
Yeah, like the gear to repair everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool.
So it's pretty cool. I'm very excited to get it finished. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but
you got a lot of room. You
need
more shelves.
I need a shelf, I guess, because it won't fit in my cabinets.
Yeah, you need like a wall shelf. You got a lot of wall space. I don't know. It's probably concrete, so you can't actually drill into it, but...
Well, when I get the walls actually put in.
There you go. Cool. Anything else?
No, I think that's about it. It's not too much, we played some Giga Robo. That's about it.
We can talk about that in the next section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I painted up the main mechs from Starship Samurai. I've posted pictures of those guys. I did them all in like metallics, like metallic colors though, so they kind of shine. I like them. Made them look a little different. Was using a lot of the Tamiya stuff and also some of the Gundam paints I've been getting from Mr. Color, and they got a lot of like metallic flecks and stuff. So that was kind of fun, just experimenting on them. Because who cares what they look like? They're for a board game that you could leave them unpainted. So I wanted to try some stuff. So I did that. That was fun. Starship Samurai. Somebody, I think Beetle asked me if I was going to paint all the other ones in there. I was like, at the time, I'm like, yeah, probably. And then I opened up the box and looked at them again, and they're like super small. I don't even know if they're worth painting. They're like really small. Still haven't played the game, but have you played your version yet, Pat?
Of
Starship Samurai?
Yeah, me and the guy I usually play any of my robot games with, Jack. We've played 2 or 3 games of the game.
Yeah. So yeah, and I know Coach has played a lot, so it's got to get some games into that game. Can't play with unpainted minis though, so now that I painted them, I can play.
My local shop, I think, has a copy. I've been keeping an eye on.
The minis are cool. They're very, very super robo. I'd say they're a lot more like humans in robot form. I wouldn't say they're very...
Giant rubber suits?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. There's not much room for a pilot in these robots, that's all I'm saying. But
robots.
It's very cool looking, and it looks like a fun game. I also, I don't know if I've talked about it, but I painted up my Battletech Mercs. I finally finished them all. I had a bunch of Alpha Strike boxes, so I separated a lot of them into different Merc groups. And then I went to Camo Specs. Actually, I think I went to Sarna.net and got a list of every Merc company and then randomized it. So I did random Merc companies, lances. It's just because I was like, I don't care what color I paint these guys. I'm just keeping the lances, and then I've just found a bunch of different ones. And so I got a bunch of cool different color schemes on those guys. And it was fun to do. Like, oh, this one's beige on top or blue on the bottom or whatever, like all these weird color schemes. And it was fun to interpret them, and then, because you go to Camo Specs is a good website to show all the Battletech paint schemes, but a lot of them aren't on there. They'll just have a description of them. So it's like, okay, I can do some stuff with this. So that was fun. And, I still got, I got a bunch of, I'm going to paint as ComStar because they're always the bad guys. So they're going to be my op force for anybody who plays Battletech with me. And then I got a bunch of unseen mechs recently, the original plastic ones, and I'm gonna paint them up somehow. But those are like the old school, so like the original plastic ones. When I was a kid, I had these, and I don't know, I lost them along the way, but I got lucky and won a eBay auction with some of these, so kind of fun.
Nice.
So I got to figure out how to paint those guys. They might have to be special since they are old school. Maybe I'll find some like really old company to paint them. And then obviously I always get Gundam loot. This month's Gundam, or last month's Gundam loot, I guess technically, was a Gundam Zeta Titans prototype. And I liked him. He was cool. He's on I got a stand also, so he's propped up on his stand with his 2 light swords out, ready to slash some people. And
slash.
He's got a bluish color scheme, which I liked. It was kind of good. So I get the problem with Gundam loot right now is it's way too many Gundams, not enough Xeon guys. So I hope if I complain enough that they'll send out some Xeons.
Friends of the show.
Yeah. Any chance I get to is please more Xeons, or even other stuff from the later shows that aren't Xeons.
Yeah, like the Crossbone Vanguard and all those fun guys.
Yeah, some bad guys. Or
some baddies.
Good guys, I guess, if you're on that side of the fence.
What were they in Victory Gundam? They were like bees or something like that? Yeah. I don't remember.
Yeah, like they all have strange names. And
they have weird names. It was riding around in giant tractor tires.
I don't even know if they make one of those. That'd be cool if they made a model of a giant tractor tire.
Yeah. Am I the only one that's seen Victory Gundam?
Yes, I haven't watched Victory Gundam.
It's a crazy show. Anyway, sorry, tangent.
In the, what has it been, I forget what the anniversary is, 40th anniversary of Gundam? I think it is.
Something like that. Yeah.
40 or 45 this year.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of weird things in there in the time. So, I think that wraps up what I've done though, so, I think that was, everybody's. We might as well jump on into ComStar, which we always have more to talk about because we like to consume media.
Yarp.
Yarp.
Message from ComStar.
Welcome to ComStar. This is where we talk TV, movies, books, comics, RPGs, video games, normal games, board games, anything media that you're not building. Media. So I started with Brian last time, so this time I start with Pat. Pat, what you got? What you been consuming? Anything?
Consuming?
Or doing, or playing?
Well, we had the discussion earlier if it was pop, soda, or...
I had a nice peanut brittle earlier.
That's fancy.
I didn't, though. That actually sounds really good right now.
a Mecha peanut brittle.
Some Chicago mixed popcorn?
No.
You don't like it?
Oh, I do love the Chicago mix, but I didn't have any.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So, off tangent again.
It's been a long month.
It has been. So I did not. I read. So as far as books and stuff, I still haven't read more than the origins of the Megatron,
which we will be doing a little podcast about because I've read it too. So, Brian, if you want to read it, you could jump in there too.
I have not read it. I don't think I have any Transformers comics.
Did you not get the Humble Bumble?
I did not. I did not.
Oh,
well. He said
remorsefully.
Yeah. I just don't get digital comics very often.
Yeah.
I like the physical stuff, and so...
Yeah, that's a
double-edged sword.
There was a lot here that it was too good to pass up.
Yeah.
I know one of my friends went in on that in a big way.
A lot of stuff in that Humble Bundle. It's also, you can go on Comixology, which is owned by Amazon now, I think. And you can get all these pretty cheap too. All the the Transformer anthologies are pretty cheap if you're digital. They also sell hard copies, but, I think the problem with hard copies, especially with Transformers, is I don't know about the order. It's such a long and twisted order that it's, at least this way, if they're digital, you could just look up, okay, which one do I read next? But, if you get hard copies, it might be kind of more confusing. Yeah. So I'm not sure what's in what anthology and stuff like that. I'm sure it doesn't really matter, other than the main storylines, but these offshoots, I'm sure it doesn't matter if you read them before or after, because they're just, like the Megatron one's just an origin story, so.
No, yeah, and it was it's a good origin story, I thought.
Save it!
But moving on, because I'm being yelled at. Played a couple of games of Giga Robo already.
Giga Robo.
So it's a pretty fun game. It's a nice little.
How does it compare to
deck builder?
What's the other game you have? Oh, GKR, and you have another one, don't you?
Yeah, GKR, right?
Yeah, you have another
GKR.
Don't you have another
robot game?
Yeah. No, is that it? I keep.
Well, I have. We have that the one that we bought, or I bought, but you regretted not buying.
Oh, the card game.
Well, it has the card game. It has the speed of the attack, and each robot has its different power.
Yeah.
Something Assault. What's it called again?
Yeah, I don't. Jeez.
Massive Assault? Was it Massive Assault?
I don't.
If I had it, I could look on my shelf and say, I do not have it.
Yeah.
I'm not in my basement.
Critical Mass.
Critical Mass, yes.
Yeah.
But it's not like that because this is still a figure game, whereas Critical Mass was more of a sit-down play robot playmat versus and cards.
So you said there's deck building involved in the Giga Robo?
Yeah, well, each pilot and each mech has its own deck. And when you make your deck, you have to choose...
you kind of combine them, right? So it's like you get some cards for your pilot,
Yeah, but you don't get the whole deck. So
Right.
choose a certain amount of number of attacks and cards. You get one ultimate.
So you can kind of build the way you like to
technique.
fight, kind of.
Yeah, and then each robot has like 3 or 4 ultimate techniques that you include with your standard robot moves. So basically, I didn't count the amount of cards, but I would say it's like 20 plus something. But you end up with like a 16-card deck when you're done out of 20, 30 cards.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you combine, there's a player board and a robot board. You combine them together. And then you have what's called a fighting spirit. That's how you spend that to do moves. Each move costs, the bigger the move, the bigger the price.
They tell you the cost on the cards or whatever?
Yeah, and so each round you get your fighting spirit. Each pilot has a different one. I forget what it's called. Your hero click or something like that. I can't remember the terminology in itself, but then you get that every turn at the beginning of the turn, and then every time you get hit, you can get fighting spirit in rage or power tokens. So there's ways to increase your fighting spirit throughout the game quicker.
Cool.
Then there's a 1, 2, 3 cooldown zone on the bottom, so your cards will tell you how long. So if you play a big attack, it's got a cooldown 3, so it goes in your 3 spot.
So you can't just spam the same thing all the time?
That's right. So it stays out of your hand. So at the end of your turn, you move it to the next spot until it gets to 1. When it gets to 1, then it goes back in your hand.
Do you shuffle it in, or you get to use it?
You get to use it.
Oh, okay.
So if you can multiply do cooldown level 1s because they'll go right back to your hand in at the end of the turn.
So it's like a discard piles, but that refresh at different times. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's a neat way to do it, actually.
There's different effects that can slow that down, like power surges. All power surges have to move before you can move your cards. And so if you've been hit with an electric attack...
It slows down your cooldowns. That's neat.
Yeah. So things like that. And it doesn't play very long. It plays at 45 minutes. I mean, you can really rack the damage up because you can choose to either defend or take the damage. Sometimes you want to take the damage so you can increase your fighting spirit, but then you're taking the damage,
Yeah, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to make these little small calls and stuff like that. So,
and how's the actual? Is there line of sight and stuff like that, or it doesn't matter?
There is line of sight, but it just comes with cover, and if you get cover,
because there's buildings and stuff in the game,
you lose a dice. Yeah, and basically you just have to have a building between you and another person.
Yeah, is it gridded or what's the?
It's hex.
Hex. Oh wow.
Yeah, they're like big hexes.
Yeah,
good old.
It's small hex. It's small hex encapsulated in a giant hex. As I said in the unboxing video, that's on the Mobile Armor Radio Facebook page.
Yay!
And on YouTube, I believe, isn't it?
It is on our YouTube channel, yes.
Which we have. I think we forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned it last time.
We've mentioned it previously, on other episodes.
Yeah, so you can throw your opponent, which is cool too. Attacks will move them. So if you move them to a building, they crash in the building, and the building can collapse. And if it does, a random environmental event happens underneath it. So for example, in the last game we played, I did a combo. So there's also, to go back to that, you can also combine attacks to do a combo attack. So as long as your other attacks after your first one have the combo symbol on them, you can, and you have enough fighting spirit, you can link 3 or 4 attacks together.
That's cool.
As long as you have the fighting spirit.
So that's a reason to get yourself beat up a bit so you can do a huge attack.
Yeah, so which I did, and I was able to knock him back into a building, and when it collapsed, you randomly drew the environmental effects of that hex. Basically had a busted water main and was basically allowed just a giant puddle, which helped me because he was playing a mech who was all his attacks had fire-based damage. Mm. So every time he hit me, my mech was on fire and my guy's panicking and
on fire.
And listening to fire. So then the cool thing was I got moved into that water hazard. So at the end of my turn, it extinguished all my fire. The burst water main extinguished all my fires.
So just standing there.
Yeah,
that's neat. That's neat. I like the environmental effects. That's something that a lot of games don't do, and that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, you could knock a building down. There's electrical effect too. So it's all in all, I think it's a pretty solid game. It's pretty fun.
Would you say it's like super competitive, or is it more just beer and pretzels kind of fun?
It could be competitive. It definitely could be competitive. Yeah.
There's enough to do that it's tactical.
Yes, because of the linking of choosing the cards for your quote unquote deck, and then hold on. Wow!
Whoa! Nice.
Pat's head exploded.
That was a sneeze attack.
Those are super effective.
Yeah, how much fighting spirit did that cost?
All 18. So some of those cards are like 18, 20 fighting spirits in cost, and let's say I think on the average a pilot generates 5 at the beginning of his turn.
And by the carryover. So if you did nothing for a round, you could...
Yes. You could potentially increase, but you, of course, then wasted a round doing nothing.
You just stand there, just taking it all. Your power just keeps going up.
Or if you did, I had the fast mech, so my guy literally ran the outside.
Circles.
Yeah, literally ran the outside of the hex.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, but like I said, competitive because you get to choose the cards and you have to figure out the right with the combo aspect. You know, you can spend a lot of time looking at those cards, thinking the best combo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But whether or not you can pull it off with it all comes down to that, the cost and everything. So, you know, you got to figure that out.
Never tell me the odds.
Exactly. So, I mean, in that sense, I think there's a huge competitive aspect to that.
Is there dice?
There is 12-sided dice to attack and defend,
that's right.
or 12-sided dice to attack and 10-sided dice to defend.
And it's roll-offs. You dice offs like.
Yeah, basically it's the highest. So without getting too into the
weeds,
basically if you tie as the defender, you take away the dice that are tied.
Yeah.
Basically, and then, but if you what's called defend, then you take away the attacker's tied dice, but you get to keep yours in play. So basically it comes down to who has the highest die number rolled after you remove everything.
Yeah,
and things
that's
like
cool.
that.
But it's obviously the odds are for the attacker since they get a D12.
Well, you can counter, which allows you to attack back.
I see.
Yeah.
That's cool. This sounds like a fun game. We'll have to
it is.
Check it out more.
Yeah, the combat system is slightly confusing in the beginning, but once you work out the numbers and everything like that, you're like, okay, I get it now, and then it just kind of flows from there.
Oh, yeah, once you grok it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know what that word means, but yeah.
You don't use the word grok? Jeez.
No. I'm not a hipster.
Anything else you got going there, Pat?
No, that's it.
So, Brian, what have you been doing? I'm sure you've watched lots of anime you can talk about.
Actually.
What? Don't let us down.
Rob's offended.
I've been taking a little bit of an anime break for a while because I've been watching another web show that's completely unrelated to Mecha. But I will say that after
I will interrupt and say I did watch a bunch of Ultraman.
Oh,
we talked
yeah.
about Ultraman last time. I believe.
Talked a little bit about it, yes, last time. But yeah, after seeing the Alita Battle Angel movie, I got myself a copy of the manga for that, and I've since finished the main story thread there. Not as many giant mecha in it per se. There's a lot more of just kind of like cyborg robot bodies. But there was this one dude who was like this giant robot centaur who had what the heck, his sword was called like Car Cleaver or something like that. And like this dude was huge, like several stories tall. So roaming around the wasteland like Mad Max, but a giant robot horse man.
As you do.
So it was a really good manga. I definitely recommend it for those that are so inclined, especially if you like the live action movie. It is different. There were a fair amount of changes that were made between the two. So like the movie really is an adaptation. So meaning it's not a 1-to-1, which is refreshing too, because it means you get to enjoy both in their own way. But yeah, so that was a big thing that I powered through all of that. I'm probably going to work on next. I'm planning to read the this book series called Altered Carbon, which also has a Netflix series.
Yep.
Again, not quite mecha, but in that kind of cyberpunk vein of future and robots and craziness. There's a hotel that has an AI who has machine guns built into the walls, so it's like a giant mecha, but also a building. Still counts.
Now we got to define if buildings are mecha.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have feet.
I'm gonna go big no on that
one. But yeah, so that was kind of the big kind of sci-fi thing I was into lately. I'm trying to think. The next closest thing is I watched the most recent Predator movie, which is kind of a meh movie.
Yeah.
But
is that the one that had the Keenan?
Yeah. Honestly, those guys were really fun.
I like those guys. I did
more
not,
about them.
I'll be honest, I did not like the end.
Don't spoil it for
say
people.
The only thing that ties it in to this discussion at all is just the little stinger scene at the very end.
Yeah, which is the part I didn't like.
Yeah. It feels more like a comic-y kind of movie than a straight-up movie like the other ones had always kind of felt.
But Rob says we can't spoil it.
Yeah, I won't spoil it.
Because I'm sure he's going to watch it.
I don't know. Yeah, I'll watch it eventually. I don't care. I don't know about the stinger at the end, but I know the main point of the thing. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, just been more kind of general sci-fi than straight up mecha lately. So, but yeah, that covers a lot of it. It's been a very busy month. So I spent a lot of time driving around this last week. I almost went to the Gundam shop that you guys had gotten to go to.
Yeah, I was quite disappointed that you didn't stop.
I was sad about it too. I was meeting somebody, some friends in Illinois, on my way up to Wisconsin for the Easter weekend, and I found myself, I looked it up. I did, because I was like, okay, I've got some time to burn. How far away is it? And it was like an hour and a half away.
Where were you meeting your friends at?
Oh, it was like the Northern Illinois University is DeKalb.
DeKalb?
DeKalb?
That's way out of your way.
Well, I just go straight north. I'm like 39, so it wasn't too far out of the way. But yeah, so it was going to be like a round trip. I wouldn't be able to make it back in time, so I didn't wind up doing that. But someday I will check out that place. Instead, I went to a half-price bookstore where it was a half-off sale on top of that.
You got all the manga half off.
Well, I picked up a sci-fi book. I don't know if it has Mecha in it, but it's got spaceships on the cover, called Ancillary Justice by Anne Leckie. It keeps turning up on like highly recommended sci-fi books, so I picked up that one, and another book by Elizabeth Moon, which is another good book series that I enjoy about spaceships. So I did see some Mech Warrior and Battletech books while I was there, but I had no idea which ones would be good starting points because I haven't read any of the Mech Warrior Battletech book series.
Yeah, well, that is the question. There's so many different eras.
That really is the question.
Yeah.
Where do you start? Yeah,
there's so much.
That's probably a topic in itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that pretty much covers most of my media consumption that's Mecha related. I'm sure some of our fans out there will probably have gone to see this little movie called Avengers Endgame by the time this drops. Yep, no spoilers in our comment section. We want to be nice. There probably is one Mecha in that whole thing. Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, who knows?
Maybe. Who knows? Do you know? I don't. I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, so that's me. I'll stop rambling and pass it over to Rob. What have you been up to?
There's always lots of things I've been up to. First, there's a new Kickstarter, which I believe is still going. I think it is pretty still going. Let me just check to see when it ends. It's called the Lancer RPG.
Yeah, I remember you.
It's got about 10 days left when this comes out. And it's pretty cheap. And you can get the PDF pretty reasonable price. And it's pretty much a RPG set in a world with different factions, and everybody has giant mecha to fight each other. So it looks interesting. It is free to play anyways. You can download the PDF, but to get like the fancy, nice looking PDF and stuff, you can pay for, or you can buy the books. And yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's just kind of a neat way to go, honestly. I kind of like that method.
Yeah, it's they want you to play the game. Yeah. And once you play the game, you'll want to have the cool other stuff. So I think that's the way to get you in. Although I did download the free to play, and it's like 500 and something pages. So it's not a simple, easy to get into.
Not a print off.
Yeah, you're not going to print it, but it looks interesting. They really have an in-depth world. They've obviously been working on this for a very long time. And it's finally they feel like they can finally go to a print run with it. So that's what this Kickstarter is for. And,
nice.
Yeah, looks cool. A lot of cool art. The art style is interesting. It's, it reminds me of like, what's it called? Heavy Metal or one of those old, French comics, like a different style.
Oh, like 2080 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like the Judge Dredd stuff.
Yeah, there's like definitely a European style to the art, I find. It's not, it's not hyper realistic. It's definitely got a style to it, and it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not also anime. It's like different.
Yeah. I remember seeing some of the art as like, not quite like a Tank Girl flavor, but
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
it's a little bit of more absurdity, a bit more cartoonish.
Yeah,
but really like imaginative and creative. Like they've got one of the pictures that's always floating around, like the ads on Facebook, is like a character who has a hologram for a head. Like I keep seeing that. I'm like, man, that looks really cool.
Yeah, there's very inventive, different stuff, and all the factions are all very different flavors too. So it should be interesting. Do I think it works best as an RPG? I think maybe it would work best as a miniatures game, actually, but that takes a lot more to do. So an RPG is a good start, I guess. So hopefully expands out.
They kind of had it split up, from what I was reading, that you kind of have your, maybe more of like a social portion kind of takes place in this, like, you kind of separated the combat out into its own, space, if you will. Like, I forget how they phrased it. It's like, you're playing with these rules when you're in the combat section, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up again.
Yeah, it's definitely.
But it sounded intriguing. It looked really cool.
Yeah. So you can check that out. Once again, the link will be in the show notes. For movies, I didn't watch anything new or anything anime, but I did watch Transformers the movie again. 1986's classic. I hadn't watched it in a very long time, and I never watched it. What was that?
Dare to be stupid.
That's right, Weird Al.
Yep.
I never watched it when I was a kid when it came out because I remember distinctly I was talking to another kid and he told me Optimus Prime died in it, and I was like, why would I want to watch that? So I never watched it. So I didn't watch it until I was an adult, I think. I never really watched it.
And not just Optimus Prime, like everyone from the series.
I think Optimus had the least violent death. Like when they storm the space shuttle at the very beginning and just blast Prowl, like they kill these guys and just like stomp them, and it's wow.
Face disintegrates.
Yeah, and then Starscream, yeah, he gets disintegrated. Like it's wow. There's a lot of deaths, but I also forgot how actually the stories. I think it's a better story than G.I. Joe the movie, which came out similar time. It actually has a coherent story, which it's unusual for a movie in the 80s, for a cartoon movie in the 80s, American cartoon movie in the 80s, to have a coherent, well thought out story. And watching it now, I'm like, oh, that was actually not that bad, and there was some cool characters, and there was very little annoyance.
I hate Rodimus Prime, though.
Yeah, Rodimus, yeah, he's alright, but even in the movie, he's not that bad. I think the TV show afterwards kind of ruined him a bit more. He was more whiny in the TV show. In the movie, he's not as annoying as I remembered him to be, so I think there's been some other things to color my impression of him. The only annoying one is Wheelie, that one that talks in rhyme or whatever. He's just annoying as hell. But once again, I remember him being super annoying. He's barely in the movie. He's maybe got 2 scenes. I'm like, oh. It must be the cartoon afterwards where it continued on, where he really annoyed me, and it stuck in my craw, and I thought it was from the movie, but he was barely in it. And yeah, Eric Idle as the junkie on leader, so that's always good. But yeah, good voice acting. I think it's Orson Welles' final performance, and it's got Leonard Nimoy as Galvatron, and it's like, whoa, this is actually Judd Nelson's Rodimus. That's why you hate him.
No, I actually like Judd Nelson. I just Rodimus Prime in general, his character, and like you said, it might have been the TV show, was just horrible. Yeah,
I think he whined a lot more in the TV show. In this, he was kind of like, I'm a bit of a hothead. Oh, now I got the leadership, and I'm actually a good leader. So it's like, oh, okay.
It's one of the things about whiny characters is one of the reasons why Attack on Titan for me was hard to get through.
Yeah. There's a bit of whine going on there too. Yep.
Especially from that one little blonde kid.
Who funny story, my friend Jack, he thought that little blonde kid was a girl for the longest time because I think he was watching it subbed, so it's like, well, whatever, they all sound. And then when he watched it episode dubbed, and all of a sudden it's got a boy's voice, he's like, what the hell is going on here? Really confused him. But that's a tangent. What else we got?
They need some giant fantasy mecha in there. That's what they need.
Yeah, to fight the giants, monsters. Yeah,
you need giants.
It's true. They should build one with the guns that they can hang off things. They just need bigger things to hang off of at that point, though. It gets escalating quickly. Other news: the Battletech Urban Warfare is coming out very soon for the Battletech PC game. I guess it's only on PC. It's coming out in June, so that's the new one, which is going to have 2 new mechs, which a lot of people are complaining about because they wish there was more. But I understand you can't. You got other things to work on. It's also going to have ECM, which can make your mechs invisible to the enemy. You can't be targeted, which is kind of fun. Destroyable buildings, which is the main fun of the game. Once you're fighting in urban areas, you have to destroy some buildings. And there's also going to be a base defense attack where you have a base and your enemy has a base and you have to defend it and attack. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of play style, but we'll see how it goes. And, so that's coming out soon. I'm excited about that. I still play Battletech quite a bit, even though I've beat it in every way possible. I still love that game. So, yeah. Is it on my thing I'm doing? Well, reading Transformers comics, obviously. There's a new series, which is, fun. You're not reading that one, Pat, are you? The new one?
Which one?
The new Transformers comic book?
No, I'm not, actually.
Andrew from Superhero Crew and I will probably be doing some, once the first arc ends, we'll do a review of that over on Superhero Crew. And, so that'll be interesting. And like we said, Pat and I are going to be reviewing the old Transformers comics on separate little short podcasts on here probably. So that'll be fun also. And I forgot to give a shout out last time for Adepticon, because, I'm an idiot. But I have to shout out to Beetle because he gave me an amazing Robotech sweatshirt, and I love it.
That was an awesome
you're a Falker.
Yep. And I don't know how many people stopped me at Adepticon and said I love that sweatshirt, and I became like fashionable. All of a sudden, people are like commenting on what I wear instead of being like, "Wow, you actually wore that." That's how
Many thanks to Beetle.
Yes,
he's a gentleman and a scholar.
Yep. And, so that was great. Thanks again to Beetle. And, I think that covers everything that ComStar for me. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think so. I'm still reading all the Battletech books in order. It's still happening. Nothing new to report, really. I'm reading about the Cowhounds right now.
Yeah, there's just some discussion that happened in Discord regarding that Gundam Stormish game that we found.
Oh, yes.
It's if you want to join in, you can join the Discord channel and check out the discussion there. People are checking it out. I know some of the rules, I think people were saying, like, it might suffer from, like, who goes first kind of, it's my turn and I win kind of thing. But,
oh, is that the one that
maybe it just needs balance.
Yeah, was that the one that had everybody go at the same time? Or your whole team, you go, I go kind of thing?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
That's never good. Never good. That's
yeah.
old.
I like alternating activations.
Yeah, that's the way to go. I don't know, any game that should always have alternating activations. And other ways of manipulating that's always fun, like in Dead Zone, where you can get extra activations, which is fun, but
yeah,
you can't activate your whole team.
Should be able to. Especially if they're all Striders.
Wow, there you go. Or, no, pulse bombards. So you can blow up your enemy's starting area. Anyways, now that we've progressed to talking about a game that this podcast has nothing to do with, I think we should hang over to the MechBay Hanger.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Excellent.
Now entering the MechBay Hanger.
And welcome to the MechBay Hanger. This is going to be a long one because I put two things together because I'm selfish. It's going to be favorite enemies that you like to fight in mech games or media, and also your favorite place to fight those kind of people. And we'll not do lists. I think we'll just have a little bit of a round table discussion about our favorite things and why we like them. And yeah, sound good, fellas? Do we understand what we're doing here?
Sounds great.
Sure.
We'll start with our favorite kind of enemies to fight. Obviously, there's a bunch of different types. You can fight other mechs, or kaiju, or poor peasants that you step on with your giant mechs, or
jeez,
or hordes of villains, or single pilots to fight. What do you guys think? Anybody have any idea how they should fight? Or do you like the variety? Do you like everything? Do you think a show should have you fighting other mechs, kaiju, and swarms of enemies, and peasants to step on?
I know. Go ahead, Pat.
I like other mechs, honestly. Because it's what it comes down to is robot versus robot. Now, that being said, I do enjoy a nice antagonist.
Like a single pilot to fight?
Like a single pilot.
Yeah.
Within the mechs, you know.
So you can have, you have like your Char versus your whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's his name again?
Whoever Char's fighting.
Amaro. Amaro. Yes.
Jared?
Like that kind of idea where you like, yeah. Well,
I do. That's I guess it's tried and true, I guess, or classic in a sense. So,
yeah, you come from the Gundam kind of area, and I come from Battletech, and I kind of agree with that, where it's where that you're fighting an equal kind of force, and they might be slightly different, but
yeah, I mean, but then even Battletech had that sense. As much as I hate them, that's what the clans were, you know.
Even in other inner sphere groups, you're still fighting other mechs, right? So
yeah, well, you know, how's Kurita?
That's your sworn enemy.
You should death to those guys.
Yes, like obviously. What about you, Brian? What do you like?
Sure. So, like, I definitely enjoy, like, when I'm playing those kind of more real robot type games. Definitely like that variety of where you've got kind of grunt mechs, of different range of combat. So like close combat, mid range, city fight. You know, I do just enjoy the variety of that kind of play style, and definitely love like being pitted against like aces and or especially reoccurring villains. Like those guys, they're always fascinating and fun, and prove to be a challenge every single time. Just to add some flavor to the discussion, like so like the giant robot shows out there, like Evangelion or Gunbuster and Gurren Lagann, and I realized I just rattled off a whole bunch of Gynax shows only. They're the main ones that I have that are of the super robot variety. But like when they're fighting like organic creatures and stuff like that, it can be really fun. Just because like when you start thinking of these monsters as like, most of them are themed, right? So they'll have like, this one will have giant tentacle arms, and this one will have a giant mouth that can eat you in a second, or be wicked fast or something like that. Like each one then really does kind of give you that additional challenge. Like, okay, this is something never seen before. Have to come up with the strategy on the fly to defeat it, type thing. So I think ultimately for me, I do just enjoy that variety that makes you push your talents as a pilot and the capabilities of your machine to the limit. So that's what I really like to see.
That's because you come from Top Gun. That's why.
Oh yeah. Right?
I will not leave my wingman.
Gunbuster's like title in Japanese is like aim for the top.
Aim for the top.
Yeah.
Danger zone.
Kappa no Ware.
I guess there is a place for everything though, because I do love the like Pacific Rim kaiju fights are amazing. Like, so yeah, and then Robotech, you're really fighting swarms of enemies. There's very little like actual robot on robot action really. It's more like you're fighting just swarms of things. So
yeah, Robotech, you think?
Yeah, like when do you ever actually fight? A little bit. A little bit, but not much.
The Zentradi, you got oh god, I can't remember their names now.
But you get
you get the girl who kills almost everybody.
Yeah, Mira and all those guys. But
yeah.
But they're just I guess a little bit. But then mostly you're just fighting.
It becomes swarms, I think, when you get to the Invid. I mean, because there's even with the Robotech Masters, there were still even. I'm
trying to think. You're fighting just what's it called, the pods and stuff. Really, they're just swarms of pods. Once in a while, you do get an ace pilot in there, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any time? I guess I'm trying to think of any time that you're just fighting swarms. I guess there isn't really. You're always, and maybe in video games and stuff, they're probably more likely to have that, but you're always going to be fighting a pilot, like an enemy pilot.
Earth Defense Force 2000, whatever, that crazy game about giant bugs invading.
And there's
a lot of that.
Well, I guess Into the Breach is like that, where there's no main enemy. You're just fighting a bunch, the video game Into the Breach. You're fighting just a bunch of bugs that are coming at you.
Yeah, there's that.
I'm trying, it's funny to try to think of, like, examples. I rattled all these ideas off, but is there actually any examples of things? It does come down to you're usually fighting an antagonist, because that's how stories work. So.
Yeah,
well,
generally.
I mean, in a sense, I guess the kaiju would be just...
Yeah, a little bit.
They're just...
Well,
while they have flavor, they're hordes, basically.
And, like, in Macross Frontier, there's kind of giant space bugs called the Vajra. And for the most part, like, the big theme there is that they kind of have their own communication of song, so it's a bit more of a hive mind kind of setup. So like in that case, like they're very much fighting swarms and swarms of bugs, and the antagonists are more often people that are then taking advantage of them. Minor spoilers for a show that came out quite a few years ago now.
I guess that Love, Death, and Robots episode that everybody loved, the what was it called again? Suits? That was just a bunch of waves and waves of enemies. There was no force behind them. There was no. It was just waves of evil creatures.
The Zerg are kind of like that.
Yeah, same idea. Yeah, it's once again in that I'm trying to think. At games, it's more likely.
Swarms kind of just come in like two flavors.
Yeah, they're almost always
either
bugs
or they're like dogs, like wolves.
Yeah.
Well, those are, like, in the grand scheme you start thinking about it, it's like those are the major, like, pack creatures that we know of on Earth. So the ones that attack as a big unit.
And the Invid are really just crabs, so it's the same thing. Crab swarm.
Crab swarm.
Yeah. It's, I'm trying to think of anything else, what you fight other than that. I think Evangelion with the alien kind of weird godlike angels or whatever they are that come down on you. That's a definitely unique take on enemies.
Like I said, those always like hit you sideways.
Yeah, that's got to be the most out there kind of enemies you're going to be fighting. But generally, you're going to have an antagonist. Usually a ace pilot. Gundam ended up being quite a few. It wasn't just Char. There was quite a few different ace pilots.
Rambaral, the what is the name of that? The three.
The really fast.
Stars.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, the Black Star. Yeah.
All of Char's buddies were named like different sizes of pants. Like there was Slender and Jean. Did anybody else notice that?
That's how he chose his friends.
His boot cut, and there's
straight leg.
Yeah. Well, then you go over to like something like Dragon Ball Z, and everyone's named after a food.
Or you go to Ruby basic color. So
Italian beef.
Yeah, there you go. Some Italian beef enemies.
Yeah. So one enemy that we haven't quite discussed. So like. The super giant enemy, like there's only one, and our heroes are fighting against the one. Doesn't come up very often, I would say, but there have been times where we've had planets, like whole planets, as an antagonist.
Go back to Transformers the movie. Yep.
We were just mentioning one earlier.
Unicron,
voiced by Orson Welles.
Yeah. Yeah, Unicron definitely is a...
they did a horrible version of the Unicron in the Transformers movies.
In the movie? You mean the real movie, the Michael Bay movies?
Yeah.
Was he in there?
Well, that's because
in the last one, yeah.
Oh, wasn't Unicron didn't Earth become Unicron or something like that?
Either Earth was Unicron or something else. I can't remember what the two planets were fighting.
I'm glad they canceled that whole thing.
When I found out that Earth was going to be Unicron, I was like, oh.
Yeah, because don't you see his horns or something come out of the Earth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I sort of saw something about that.
This is why non-comic book fans should not be allowed to make
non-fans of the source material making movies is always an issue.
Or at least ones that respect it enough.
Yeah.
Like Like the guy that did Edge of Tomorrow, like, never went on record as saying that he really loved the manga or book All You Need Is Kill.
Yeah.
But he made a really awesome adaptation of that story. And didn't, like, everybody... I know the director for, like, Starship Troopers, I forget his name, it's escaping me right now.
It was Verhoeven.
Verhoeven, yeah. Did he go on record as saying, like, he really didn't like the book?
Well, yeah, the movie is very different.
A lot of
from
people
the
didn't like the book because it was such a political book.
Yeah, it really was.
But the stupid thing is if you got rid of the political rantings of Heinlein, you had a really good sci-fi book.
Yeah.
You could have just ignored the whole political statement.
Yeah, he always had
dictatorships are the way to go, kids.
Well, I like how Verhoeven did it. He made it a parody, like a satire of it all. Like, that was the best part about it.
Absolutely. Would you like to know more?
I love it. At the time, people thought he was like, oh, he's making a fascist movie. It's like, no, it's a satire, people. If you can't tell that's a satire, you know.
Yeah.
If you think he's serious about what he's saying there, that's crazy. It's so over the top, which is hilarious. That's why it's a funny, funny series.
I'm trying to think of other enemies, but they, like, the next one from there is, like, really more of the philosophical, like, the enemy is yourself. As self.
Yeah. That's it, yeah. I'm trying to think.
Ooh, what about cyber enemies? I know that's something we kind of talked a little bit about at the beginning of the show. It's like another...
What was that movie I love but hate?
You have to be more specific.
Gunbuster?
No.
Oh, the Gunhead.
Gunhead.
Yeah.
That was cyber. That was AI.
Where it's like Terminator, right? So,
yeah, I guess so.
So it's like taking over robots and stuff like that. Dude, then you get Ultron. It's just swarms of Ultrons.
Yeah. Yeah, Well, even Pacific Rim 2, they did go for the one antagonist, sort of, but it was the kaiju mixed with the tech, which that was kind of interesting.
I did kind of like that part of that movie.
Yeah,
it was a neat evolution.
Tech. Yeah. I'm not sure about making a singular enemy was the best idea, but I do like the mix of the kaiju and the tech being a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any other villains that you can fight other than swarms of bugs. It seems, like I say, bugs are the thing to go to. That's a go-to.
Or just swarm in general, I think, because I think even in the remake, the live-action remake of Space Battleship Yamato, the Gamelon turned out... It's the one of the things I hate about that remake is it turned out the bad guys were swarm creatures, whereas in the original original cartoons, it was just another race.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that came up in like the later. Is that the newest season of that show?
No, this is the movie,
live action movie.
Oh yeah, that movie. Because I've seen that Star Blazers 2099. Yes. I haven't seen the new.
That's the cartoon. This is the live action one I'm talking about.
The live action one,
which was really good up until you got to what I like to call the Starship Trooper segue.
Yeah,
I think it's an easy way to do it. That's why.
And then it has the Tyler Perry singing out. Love hurts. Love hurts.
Jeez.
Have you seen that one, Rob?
No.
Oh, there's a Tyler Perry Armageddon-esque song at the end.
No, jeez.
Or Steven Tyler, jeez.
I was going to say Taylor Perry, that was weird.
My brain is not working anymore.
Nobody's brain works anymore, it's okay.
Oh, man. Okay, what was the part 2?
No, the other thing I was thinking of is the nanoswarms from the Rooster Teeth show. What's the name of that show? My brain doesn't work either.
Ruby?
Genlock.
They're like nanoswarms, that's an interesting way to do it too. Because, I love how the fact that if you're...
Without any spoiling anything.
It's not really, no, that happens in the very first episode, the nanoswarms.
Yeah.
Get the...
But I like how if you don't seal up your suit, all of a sudden they kill you.
Yeah.
They get you.
Yeah, they can get into the humans, and that's kind of fun.
That's one of the cool things I thought was when they saw all the pilots on the mechs, like, oh shit, nanoswarms, and they started to sit in their cockpit with caulking.
Yeah,
nice.
and then they'd have to wear suits, and they had to wear like powered armor pretty much inside their suits to stop the swarms. So I thought that was kind of cool. Then there's, and that also in Genlock this is a spoiler. If you haven't seen Genlock yet, stop listening for about 2 seconds. But the main enemy is an interesting, it's a doppelganger kind of sort of person. And that's always good, is when your enemy is yourself, but the evil version, like we're talking about with Nemesis Prime, or there's always the evil version of the, person to fight. That's an interesting metaphor, I guess, in some way, but it also is cool to see a black version of Optimus fighting a regular Optimus.
Yeah.
But, I think that exhausts the whole subject of enemies. I think we fought through that pretty good.
Yeah, if you have any enemies that you like to have your giant robots fight against, leave a comment in the section below.
Yeah, is there anything? There's probably some major one where like, oh, obviously.
Or chat it up on the Discord.
That's right. Please, discuss. And now we'll talk about the second section, which probably a lot shorter because I don't know how much you could talk about this, but the location for fights. Where do you guys like to see a fight happen? There's obviously space is going to be the number one with Gundam and things like that, and flying around in space gives you a lot of options. But I do like Battletech once again. You're always on planets. You're always fighting in forests or cities. Or what do you guys think? Underwater? There is some underwater fights in Gundam too.
This is true.
I personally like ground-based attacks with mechs,
like the heavy feel of
planet-based fighting.
Ground pounders.
Yeah. It really demonstrates just how heavy these things are. I'll throw out, I am a sucker for like city fights. So like the last sequence
100% the city fight.
Oh yeah, like 08th MS team, the Shattered Mountain or Sundering Mountain, whatever the heck that second to last episode is.
Yeah, where they're fighting amongst the city there, with the snipers and everything.
Yeah, I like that's where it's really, really solid. And even just in general, like in colonies and stuff like that, anytime where you kind of, you get that kind of normalcy juxtaposed against like, that combat is always fascinating and fun to watch. Like
the very first episode of Gundam, actually, where you're just going about their colony life and all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. And
because of Slender's pants.
And but just to see the normalcy smashed by these giant robots, and once again you do get the scale of how big these things are when they're stepping on buildings and crushing them. And Pacific. I was going to say Pacific Rim also. Right. You get to get the fun of them picking up the ship and having a big fight in Hong Kong. And seeing the people try to get to the shelters and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some underwater fights in that movie.
That's true. That's another place for underwater fights. We got a few Gundam underwater fights, and Pacific Rim's finale is underwater. So, actually, the very first fight in that is great. It's not underwater, but it's in the water. That the fight with the first kaiju you see, where he gets his arm head ripped off and everything. Yeah, like that's and you see once again you get the scale from the ship that's right there, and
it's a great opener.
Yeah, it is to really get the scale of everything. So ground based. I thought for sure space based. We get the great attacks in Robotech and in and Macross, I guess, and also in Gundam, the space fights where you can just go all over the place and different angles, and I think cinematically those are very fun to watch.
Yeah, it's interesting with those because I feel like only a couple of shows really show just how dynamic that space would be to like have as a combat zone, because it's almost like being in a submarine where they can like come at you from literally any direction. And like your frame of reference, like can be really screwed up if you're not used to it. Just because, like, you know, there's no horizon. You're just looking into pitch blackness, or you've got very little frames of reference, and so like those. And the speeds that you're moving at too is just crazy to fathom. In the grand scheme of things, that's why it's always fun to watch. I think I forget if the newest episode of Gundam: The Origin has Char's like big first battle where he's fighting against all the Salamis class cruisers, but where they're just kind of lightning jumping around from ship to ship. Using the thrusters and just letting inertia carry you forward. It's really fascinating as a space to fight.
I also like the perspective of it too. It's so far, distances are so crazy in space too, where you just see a glint in the distance and it's another mech coming at you. And they really do that well in Gundam, I think, too, where you get just things from real far away. Yeah, I think. There is some very cool scenes in Gundam where you're attacking asteroids or attacking other ships too, which it gives you a bit more scale that way too, where you have some. It's not just mecha on mech or mecha on mecha fights, and even in Robotech once again with the SDF-1, they're fighting around that. That's always kind of interesting too to see the scale of it all. Although you get some city fights in there too when they get the pods
when they get inside.
Yeah.
No,
is there any water fights? I don't think there's any water fights.
Not that I recall. There probably is at least one or two episodes underwater. Because there always are. There's always a water episode. It's like a hot springs episode.
So is there any other environments? I guess there's... Well, actually, in Pacific Rim, we get other dimensions, even, when they go through the rift.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess that's still...
It's still water, I guess.
It's their cityscape.
Yeah, could be both, yeah.
There's, well, I know, like, the Gunbuster series, they're fighting with black holes, so, like, being on the edge of that, they do a lot of fun stuff in that one with time.
Oh, yeah.
And how it's...
Sage and rosemary?
Not quite spice time.
Space time, not spice time.
Space time.
Oh, spice time.
Unless you're talking Dune, then it's the same thing.
Yeah. But it's like, you know, the fact that they're traveling at the speed of light, you know, time is moving slower for them relative to, like, back on Earth. And a big part of, probably the best thing of that first Gunbuster series is just that time dilation effect of our young hero who, you know, starts, I think she's 16 at the beginning of the show, and by the end she might be in her early 20s. But her friend, who she went to school with, is in her late, 50s. Like, she's a grandmother by the time the series ends.
Yeah.
And like, she's lived her entire life, and her friend from high school has just lived a small portion of it. So, like, fighting with time is a neat concept that not much sci-fi touches on that.
Especially not mecha sci-fi. You obviously get things like Interstellar, or there's quite a few anime that have similar things in books, like the Forever War and stuff like that. They kind of touch on that kind of stuff, but it's time dilation. It's such a weird thing to get your head around. Like, I think that's why Interstellar really messed people up. They're like, I don't understand. So it's called physics.
It's and then just to throw it out there, so fighting in a volcano, that happened in one episode of Evangelion, and everyone hates that episode. It's called Magma Diver.
Into the Breach. Once again, Into the Breach, the video game. You fight at the end. You fight inside a volcano. So
liquid hot.
It's a
magma.
Great place to have a fight.
Not if you're a Battletech mech, because they overheat if you get on any kind of fire near them, let alone magma.
Oh, you little match near it! Shut down.
Why are my heat sinks working inside lava?
I'm trying to think, like, I know, like, games like Mega Man have all sorts of crazy environments that you fight through.
Mega Man.
That original Gundam series, they did do a nice tour. Once they got to Earth, they were doing like the tour of different countries. So you get desert fights. You get city, you get desert, you get like nice beach fronts. It's like
it's an oceanfront property.
Yeah. But
in Australia.
I think I agree, though. I think city fighting is probably the most interesting because you can do so much more, especially if it's a real city. That's what it was in Pacific Rim 2. Once again, they're fighting Tokyo, so they end up in front of the Gundam statue and stuff like that. That's a fun little nod to see real cities. Pat, didn't Chicago get destroyed in one of the Transformers movies?
The third one, I think.
Yeah, the third one.
How accurate was it?
They occupied it.
Were you like, hey, that's where I live?
Yeah. Well, you can see the buildings where all the robots are hanging on, usually from the rivers, the big giant circle building.
There you go. So you can pretend robots are hanging off your buildings at all times.
Exactly.
Well, it's kind of neat in Japan. Like I don't know if I'd say like have bidding wars, but like cities kind of fight to be the next city that Godzilla stomps through. It's a really big deal when a city is put on the map because of a Godzilla movie,
or taken off the map, as it were.
Or taken off the map, as it were. Yeah, people love to see that happen in a weird way. But city fights are great.
Yeah, that is kind of fun if you can actually say, "Hey, that's where this happened." To have once again, it's about reference. You can see the scale too. Once again, if you knew exactly what some place is, you can go there and be like, "Wow, that thing was this tall." You could try to imagine what an actual mecha would look like in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Another reason to go to see that Gundam statue is to see a true to scale, 1-to-1 scale Gundam model.
1-to-1 model?
Yeah. Everybody who goes to it always says it's like ridiculous how impressive it is to see something that big in the real life.
So one environment we haven't talked much about is like in a sport.
That's true. Arenas, yeah.
An arena style setup, like BattleBots. The actual tiny mecha that we got going right now.
Like MechZone, the famous game that debuted.
The famous game MechZone.
Or the whole Robot Jocks theme.
Yeah, Robot
Jocks, the G Gundam tournament.
Battletech's got Solaris, where they fight amongst the... Solaris is a weird one in Battletech, because they always describe it, and you're like, that's pretty much a city. Like, how big is this arena? Like, the way they describe the fights, it's like, that's quite a big area. It's not just some warehouse somewhere. That's like a whole district that they've devoted to it. But, yeah, there is always arena fights in almost every mech thing. I guess if mechs were real, people would bet on them and fight each other to, that actually, we never talked about it last month, but that might be the way that mechs come into real life, is right there is people build them to fight each other. Yeah. Yeah, Real Steel. Yeah. So, I know they're already working on it.
Movie everyone's kind of forgotten.
Yeah. For reasons.
Oh, Hugh Jackman. It was cool. Hugh Jackman was shadowboxing with a robot. Or Big Hero 6,
Yeah.
They had their illegal robot fighting there.
Yeah.
The best robot fighting is illegal robot fighting.
So like in that context, do you guys like it when it's more kind of all out warfare, or something where there's kind of more predefined rules? It's like, okay, this is what you can and can't do. You can't take off the other guy's head.
Well, I like the idea of aesthetically in the arena fights, you can make your mechs a lot cooler with, you can
more unique.
GKR it up where they're all got graffiti all over them or different style, and whereas most likely, even as much as we like to make our mechs cool looking in BattleTech, most likely a mech's going to have camouflage or solid colors or drab green or
a bit more utility in
look like a
Color
fighter
patterns.
aircraft or a tank or a battleship, not bright green with tiger stripes, you know?
Or just uniform in general, so that it matches up when you stand them next to each other.
Yeah. That's what I do like about arena fights, is that you can always have that fun aesthetic feel to them. And I do like, the thing with the mass battles, with the actual warfare, is the scale of them. It's not one-on-one usually, it's huge amounts on huge amounts, or at least, you know, more than one. You get a lance of Battletech, or huge amounts of fighters flying around in Robotech or Gundam. And my favorite scenes in Gundams are definitely the GMs, the gym scenes, where they're just all these disposable Gundams just flying at each other, getting destroyed.
And it's usually a lot more even with Gundam. Like, you'll see good guys take a hit, you'll see bad guys take a hit. In some other shows, it's more like, aha! And then, the bad guy is just going to wipe them out, or vice versa.
Yeah.
I always thought that was interesting.
Well, is there anything else we can talk about? I think that covers both subjects.
I think covers all of it, yeah.
That covers a decent amount of it.
But once again,
I was just going to throw out there's the cyber battle again, but it's getting into a more abstract arena, if you will.
I do like cyber battling in Battletech a lot. So
where you're like taking over the enemy's mech or something like that.
Yeah, like actual cyber warfare. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
It's not mech battling.
At that point, yeah, it's true.
Unless you then take that mech and have them hit their own mech.
That's what I do in XCOM, speaking of video games. I love taking over another guy's...
control.
Yeah, that's the
giant
best.
Robot.
Yeah.
You're on my team now.
That is fun.
Use giant gun.
And you just drop the bombs on yourself when you're surrounded with guys and stuff. It's a
you're just
play.
like, well, I don't mind taking my own shot.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the way to go.
Yep. I think we've exhausted these things, so let's get out of here. We'll get to the exfil and we can end this episode.
Let's exfil out of here.
So that was another show. That was episode 11. Next month is our 1 year finale show, and then after that we'll have to start again for a new year.
Start a new show.
Start a new year. It's hard to believe that's been a year since.
I know, it doesn't seem like a year.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about that next time. But do go to our Discord. You can discuss how long it's been that we've been doing this, and also other things. Show notes.
You'd like to see next year.
That's right. Show notes have the link. Do go to our Facebook, which is always fun times. People post stuff, all the things they're working on, and different YouTube projects and stuff, which I like to see. And that's how I find out about many different games, too. It's always good to see people posting games or media. Brian posts a lot about all the upcoming anime shows that are coming out, which I like a lot, because I would never know about
sales.
them. Or sales, yeah, that's always bad.
In a particular store. Speaking of, I forgot to mention, there's that new series of Code Geass coming out. It's like the resurrection of Zero, I think is its subtitle. Code Geass, for those that don't know, is just to briefly say, it was a really fun show, kind of an anti-hero main character. A lot of mechs in that show, actually. A lot of just variety. Different cultures had their own styles to them. A reoccurring theme is they all had like roller skates so that they could travel really fast on land. But really fascinating show, kind of a bit of Mecha show with a nice like political thriller flavor. But check it out if you haven't seen it yet, and I'm really curious where this new season's going to go.
Nice. And I am excited for the Transformers show that's coming to Netflix too, so we'll get to that. We'll see all this new stuff for our new year. We'll get to review. Other than that, YouTube. Pat's posting a lot of unboxings and various things. Maybe he'll post up a battle report for
I think I'm going to film a gameplay of Giga Robo, because it's been pretty fun.
We'd like to see more of that stuff. I like the visual aspect of it, so that's fun. And anything else? I think we covered everything, right? You can email us at mobilearmorradio@gmail.com, or you can go on marmorradio on Twitter. All this is in the show notes. I don't know why I even say it anymore. Just read the show notes. Or go to Facebook, because our sticky link has all our links in there. You can also buy cool t-shirts and stuff at our t-shirt store. The link is there.
And coffee mugs.
And mugs.
Coffee mugs.
Yes. And I'm sure you can buy a Snuggie. So there you go. That's rambling on again. See, I like to have the ExFil long too, because I'm depressed that poor Jumpship and ExFil are very short usually. So, anything else, guys? I think that's it.
Yeah, it's done.
I think we're solid.
Let's put a bullet in this one.
Solid like a rock.
I've been Rob.
I've been Brian.
I've been Chopper.
We'll come back next month for some more Mecha madness. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
This has been Mobile Armor Radio. Join our Facebook group by searching for Mobile Armor Radio. Find us on Twitter at @MArmorRadio. Find us on iTunes and visit our website, mobilearmorradio.podbean.com. Join us on the first of every month for more Mecha discussion.